Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast tactical video. We continue our look into the ITC Champions missions. So, sit tight, let's get started with Mission 3.
The Dark King.
Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Skari, your grateful host, and this is the ongoing Learning How to Play the ITC Championship Mission series, which is where I am teaching you how to play all the different missions in the ITC from start to finish. Today, we start Mission 3. Now, if you did miss the other videos in this series, make sure you check the links down below. Each video in this series is divided into two videos. The first one, which is the one you're watching right now, goes over the basics. The second video, available for Patreons as a thank you for your ongoing support, dives in to the more tactical nuances of each individual mission. A sample of that was released last week with the in-depth tactical analysis of Mission 2, so if you'd like access to that second part of videos, you can always support me on Patreon. Mission 3, or Nexus Control. This mission has 4 objectives in it. The deployment, of course, is random and was outlined in the pre-game part of the series. So, starting with the Defender, players alternate placing objectives. The first two are placed more than 6 inches outside of either deployment zone and more than 12 from a table edge, 6 from a table edge and 12 from another objective. This means that you're going to have 2 objectives in no man's land. So you alternate. So first the defender puts an objective down, then the attacker puts an objective down in no man's land. Then starting with the attacker, each player places one of the remaining objectives in their deployment zone, more than 6 from a table edge and 12 from another objective. So defender puts first one down in no man's land, attacker puts one in no man's land and then puts one in their deployment zone. And then the defender puts another one in their own deployment zone. So it's like a weird alternating deployment way. So you place 4 objectives, and if you hold both objectives outside of the deployment zone at the end of the turn, you gain 1 point. Which means a lot of the fighting is going to happen in the middle of the table. Now, I personally like missions that force you to place objectives. I think there's a lot of tactical nuance for a 40k player, and a lot of advantage can be gained from placing the objectives. In the second video, of course, I go over how each deployment zone will affect this mission specifically. But in this case, being the attacker or being the defender will really sort of determine how aggressive or how defensive you can be with the deployment of the objectives. If you're the defender and you know which deployment zone you have first, you can make sure that the objective that is put in no man's land benefits you based on where your deployment is, because you know that the attacker then gets to put a you don't want to put the objective near the opponent's deployment zone. You want to put it nearer in an area where you can control it from your deployment zone with a quick movement. And then you get to see where the attacker puts not only their one in no man's land, but also in their deployment zone. So you can kind of have an idea of where they're going to be deploying on the table. And then you, as the defender, can counter that placement with a placement in your own deployment zone with one of the objectives, which means, you know, you have a little bit more control over things like engineers and things like that. If you really need to, you can kind of gauge where your opponent's attack is going to come from. If they're trying to, crunch all the objectives together to keep them nice and close, or if they're trying to spread the objectives out as much as possible to try and spread them out so that their speed and mobility takes the day. The bonus in this objective is quite easy to get, especially if you're going first and you're the attacker, or you have the ability to zone out or screen out in no man's land in the middle of the table. Gives a distinct advantage to armies that have some sort of presence that can sit in the middle of the table and really threaten the enemy for getting anywhere near what it is that they have. Which means if you have a big unit of Bulgrin or Grotesques or Paladins or things like that, you can really kind of put them in the middle of the table and threaten the 2 objectives that let you get bonus every turn. And the defender is under a lot of pressure to sacrifice units to try and get that bonus point, or to try and get that hold more, because there are only 4 objectives, which means in order to get hold more, you have to hold 3 out of the 4 objectives, or hold 2 and then kill your opponent off of 1 of them. Now, these points are very important when it comes to the scoring in any of the ITC missions, and it really depends on your style of list building. So are you building a list that is designed to win in the primary? Like, is it designed to kill something and hold something every turn? Or is it designed to deny kills, to make it hard for your opponent to get the kill and kill more objectives? Can you control multiple objectives all over the table? Or is your army designed to take 2 or 3 objectives very well and just hunker down on them? All of these elements of list building come to the forefront in missions such as this. There's an even number of objectives, which means it's going to be very equally distributed almost, and maneuverability and target priority and having screens and sacrificial units will be a big part of this mission. So mission 3 of the ITC Champions. Normally in an ITC tournament, the event organizers will make you play 1, 2, 3, 4 in order, up to 6, and then maybe repeat them if the tournament is more than 6 rounds. So scenario 3 is one that will normally come towards the end of the day. So if you play 3 rounds the first day at an event, scenario 3 has a high probability of being the last game you play in that day, which means you could be tired, and you could be and that mental fatigue can really make a difference when things like objective placement become part of the mission itself. So as a suggestion, when you're playing any mission that involves objective placement, really take a look at where the objectives are going to be. Do you want them to be in the open so you can shoot at them and the opponent can't really hold them while hiding behind a wall? Or do you want them to be somewhere where you can put a model or a unit next to the objective and hold it even though, behind a wall, so that you can't get shot unless it's out of line of sight shooting? Those little nuances will keep you, help you, and make you better at playing ITC Champions missions. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I've been Skari, your grateful host. A huge shout out to everybody out there who supports the channel. Hey, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, and if you know someone who's trying to learn how to play competitive 40k, forward this video to them, and let's help them get better at the game. Stay tuned for video number 2 on the Patreon, and I appreciate all your support during these hard times. Thanks a lot. Skari out. The Dark Kin.